So I'm not sure if other people are coming or what the deal is, but I guess it's fine. We could just do us four and kind of do the old format that people like. Some people like it. Some people like the new format. Doesn't really matter. Chris, how's it going today?
I'm doing well. Had a great time watching the Scott Frost tradition keep up at Nebraska to start the season, and
How crappy of a coach is he? How bad?
I mean, that was bad. I mean, that onside kick in the third quarter kind of summarized Scott Frost's tenure so far in Lincoln. But
How about the talent evaluation? How about the having the right pieces in the right places? I mean, that's part of it, especially in college. This is a big part of it, is putting the team together. And how bad is Scott Frost at that? I mean, just this quarterback. I mean, let's have a quarterback that can't throw worth a crap and can run and try and make them throw, and then what we'll do is we'll get another guy that does the same thing, and instead of just going with what worked for him at UCF. I don't know. I don't see it. But anyways, could be worse. Could be Timmy Chang. I thought North Carolina looked terrible too in their game against Florida A&M. I thought they looked absolutely horrible. I thought Utah State looked bad against UConn. I thought UConn looked good. It just shows you the magic of the transfer portal if you play it right. If you get that right guy from the right school, and give him his opportunity and reps. Because I think when you have guys that are recruited by, every school only gets, X amount of scholarship players on the roster. So, the big schools, they don't take a lot of chances. At this point, they used to be able to take a lot more chances, but now they don't take as many chances. And it's guys that are pretty much they know are going to be good. So when you get a Penn State running back, a guy who was recruited by Penn State, probably going to be pretty good. James Franklin recruited him there, and it's probably going to be good. So, Jovan, anything surprised you yesterday in college football?
Not much surprised me. Even though I was on the wrong side of a couple plays, I was willing going into that Hawaii game. I was willing to side with Hawaii, even though they did have a lot of turnover with players and coaching staff. Just on the strength of what Vandy did last year and what they've done for the since forever. I was definitely on the wrong side of it. Hawaii just wasn't ready for prime time, just giving up balls. Every time they got hit, it was like the ball just popped in the air and landed in the Vandy guys, defensive players, in the hands, and they was off to the races. So I wish I could have had it back, but I would, going into the season, I'll take a chance with that. Nebraska, they're doing what Nebraska has done, ever since they've been to the Big Ten, which is lose conference games. I will say about that game, when they were up, and that fumble that really wasn't a fumble, that kind of swung momentum in that game, and that gave Northwestern, basically the keys to do whatever they wanted. They played loose after that, and they had a lead into halftime, and then the second half was the second half, and Nebraska did what they did, and that was the bottom line. But I think if it was 21-10, maybe the way the two teams played, and it might have emboldened Nebraska to play better defense and not give up an easy basically defensive broken play to make it 17-14. When Northwestern went up with that big score. So I don't know. Just the ebb and flow of these games is really something to be said for that.
I had Hawaii as well, and I felt that as bad as the score was, right, as bad as the final score was, it really was just a couple of plays here and there that really were the difference in that game. It was plays that Hawaii didn't make, wide open receivers that weren't hit. I thought there was a one where the receiver had the ball in the end zone, The defender knocked it out. Boy, he holds on to that ball. It's a different ball game. Like you said, two balls that popped up in the air into the defender's arms that got ran back for touchdowns in that game. And then, of course, a Vandy quarterback that is just Robert Griffin all over again. I think he might be better than Griffin, to be honest with that. I don't know. I don't know if he's better. Maybe it's just been a while, but it's kind of the same thing where it's just like, all right, we got a good pass rush on him, but oh no, we got a good pass rush on him because he's gone, man. Right. It is what was that? One touchdown was about 75 yards that he ran, untouched.
It was when they basically broke it open in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, it was just I think that Hawaii. Despite the loss, I think it's a program probably headed in the right direction. I think that we saw flashes of it. I think they just need to get their players. Hawaii has some good talent, homegrown, and they're going to have to keep that in state in order to build that team around it.
They were moving the ball. I'll give them that. They were moving the ball. It's just that when it came to fourth down, the quarterback made a couple bad decisions. Had a play where he should have kept the ball. He probably would have sprinted, onto his left for a touchdown, but he gave the ball to the running back on the run pass option. I believe that.
He gave it to the running back instead of keeping it himself. He would have had a touchdown.
Right.
He would have been gone.
That just comes with repetition and gameplay. That's all that is.
But I think having Timmy Chang there, who has roots to St. Louis High School in Honolulu, is going to help this team because, St. Louis High School, while, most people look at, Miami Central and Northwestern, as kind of the football factories in Pompano, Eli, and, some of these other schools in Gainesville and in Tallahassee where, the bulk of the NFL players seem to come from. St. Louis High School puts out a tremendous amount of quarterbacks at a very, very high level at college. Marcus Mariota, Tua's brother. They got Timmy Chang, who's the coach of Hawaii. They have Mackenzie Milton. They had the guy who was the other Hawaii quarterback that couple of years ago that was, also really, really good. All from that St. Louis high school in Honolulu. And we know that, while Hawaii is not a big state, and while, Hawaii athletics might not be up to snuff, across the board and as deep as some of the other states, at the top level, they compete with anybody. And they have a lot of Polynesian people on their teams. And generally, you see a lot of those guys in the NFL. DeForest Buckner. You see, some other guys as well like that, and you see, the Hawaii Little League teams going to the World Series championship again after the Maui team winning it just a few years ago. So and they've been relevant for quite some time in that respect as well. So I just think I like Hawaii sports, and I probably always will. But Ron, speaking of sports, what did you think of yesterday's college football opening 0? Anything like, so now we have Utah State is going to Alabama right after that. Do you think that part of it was they were looking ahead to Alabama, or do you think they just those receivers just not quite up to snuff as they were last year at Utah State?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. Right? Obviously 11-point win against UConn is not what you want, but I don't think this Utah State team is going to be as good as it was last year. I think that's pretty clear right now. But it could be a sense of they don't want to show everything before Alabama, but I don't think they have a chance in the world against Bama to even compete. So, I think they needed to win that game comfortably in front of their home crowd. It was a little dicey at times, even with the quarterback for UConn going down early. So, it's pretty disappointing. But Logan Bonner looked pretty good. 3 touchdown passes, 280 yards. So, I think Utah State will compete in the Mountain West. I think it's a pretty weak Mountain West, though, this year. I really do. I don't really love the conference.
Alaninos, anything surprise you or impress you in college football yesterday out there?
Yeah, well, I was on Northwestern to keep it close. I wasn't expecting the upset like that, so that was a nice little surprise. On the other side of that, I was also on UTEP. So North Texas was a team I backed a couple times last year, but I wasn't expecting them to.
All the trends said North Texas. They all said
Yeah.
everything
No,
said
you were all
the
over
betting
that.
tools were all over North Texas. That's for sure. They
And
did
the
love
other
them.
one, I was just kind of mad I stayed off Illinois. That was one I was
To
looking
me,
for.
the one I wish I would have jumped on it was one that I gave out on our premium pick show, and that was Florida Atlantic, and they just absolutely shellacked Charlotte. I mean, the thing is that the Florida schools, it's like even if you're getting the fifth rung talent, for the Florida schools, you're still getting way better talent than everybody else. It's like those guys slip through the cracks, and that's why guys like T.Y. Hilton end up at FIU, because the running backs that Central Florida has had over the years, I mean, just absolutely destroying people. So, there's not a lot. There's a lot of depth in the state, and there's a lot of diamonds in the rough, out there too. So I think that is so. Anyways, normally this is where we cut over to today's picks, but we got a little bit extra time, so I figure September has a lot of big matchups for the opening month of college football. Chris, what's the one that you think that maybe either they're looking at as a big matchup and it's going to be a big matchup, or what's the one that maybe, oh, this is easy money? Because for me, it's Alabama, Texas. I say lay up to 4 touchdowns with Alabama in that one against Texas, maybe even 5. I would say 5. I would say lay 5 touchdowns. I think of all of those big matchups, and it's not next week, it's the following week. I'd say of all those big matchups, I think you can comfortably lay 4 to 5 touchdowns with Alabama against a Steve Sarkisian coach team, based just on Steve Sarkisian being the head coach. I mean, just based on that alone. Take away the talent differential, across the board. But I mean, just based on Steve Sarkisian being the head coach, I think you can lay 4 to 5 touchdowns with Alabama in that game. But any other ones you're looking at? Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, didn't want to cough into the mic. I think week one I'm really looking at is Arkansas, Cincinnati. I just think there's going to be there's a lot of turnover with Cincinnati. I do like the coaching staff. I like Luke Fickell, and I like the Cincinnati Bearcats in the AAC. But I just think in week one, this Arkansas team brings back a lot of solid pieces. They've got their quarterback back in KJ Jefferson, who really took steps in the right direction for the Hogs last season. And I just think it's a game that they can win by at least 7 to 10 points at home. They're only laying 6.5 right now, and I just think there's going to be a bit of growing pains for the Bearcats. I think we're getting some early value with the Razorbacks there.
This is where we find out if they've built a program at Cincinnati or if they just had a really good team. And I think they're building a program there. I think you're on the wrong end of that one. I like the other side of that thing. Jovan, how about you? Any of these games?
As far as
like any games that you're looking at, any games in week 1, week 2, any of these September games, these out of conference games, any ones that could be a surprise, or anyone that's just like a stomping blowout. Like I think Alabama, like people are like Alabama, Texas is seen as a featured game, but it's not a featured game. I mean, Texas has no better chance of beating Alabama than Vandy does. Vandy actually has a better chance of beating Texas than Texas does of beating Alabama. That's for sure. Or being even competitive with them.
As far as week 1 goes, I don't know. For some reason, these Big Ten week 1 matchups, it's hard to get a read on. So I was looking at the Thursday game between Penn State and Purdue. That 3.5 that it's at right now, I don't know. It looks tempting, to me. So with Purdue, got to dig into it more, just to get a handle on it. But as far as the rosters of the two teams, deep into the roster, who is transfer portal and all that, see what's changed. But I don't know. I like to look at Big Ten action early in the season. Might be something to look at as far as outright winner with Purdue.
How about you, Ron? There's a lot of big games on the board here, or at least seen as big big games. Jovan mentioned the Big Ten. We got Ohio State, Notre Dame at the Horseshoe next Saturday night on ABC as the feature game. And then we also have, we have Oregon versus Georgia, which looks like, Oregon's lost quite a few players, but they've also gained quite a few players. Maybe not getting as much credit in that respect. And then, you've got some other games too out there. Some big matchup. Utah, Florida. Seen as a big matchup. Any of these games that jumping off the page at you, where it's like, this game might not be as good as people think. Miami at Texas A&M. Is another one.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good week 1 schedule.
That's week 2. Miami, Texas A&M is week 3 actually, and so is Texas, Alabama is week 2. But that's
Well, that Utah-Florida game is going to be the biggest game around here. A lot of people are excited about that, and I am too. Even though I'm not the biggest Gator fan, but I do think it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, Utah laying 2.5 points on the road here. It's never easy to play in the swamp. We saw Alabama. They weren't able to cover the spread last year, even though they got the win late. But I think it's a sold-out crowd. I think all of the student season tickets are sold out for the entire season. So there's a lot of excitement here with the Gators football team. I think the Gators are going to focus on the ground game a lot more this year with Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be passing the ball about 15 times or fewer in each game. They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good running back group. And I think if they focus on the ground and they play their strong defensive line defense, I think they got a chance in this game. So it should be a good one.
El Niños, anything you're looking at? I mean, Ohio State, 17.5 points over Marcus Freeman and the Irish Saturday night in the Horseshoe. Notre Dame ranked. If Notre Dame is truly the 5th best team in the country, and they're a 17.5 point dog against number 2, I mean, who's number 6? Who's number 6? I don't know the rankings, but who's number 6? Would they be a 17.5 point dog at the Horseshoe? I mean, I don't know. I mean, how are they number 5 and a 17.5 point dog?
Michigan's 6th.
You think Michigan would be a 17.5 point dog at the shoe? Doubt it.
I think Ohio State is the much better team, but that's still a huge spread. I mean, for a game like this, you got to expect Notre Dame to show up a little bit, but I don't know. That is. I think, like I said, I think Ohio State wins this one rather easy, but again, 17 points, still 17 points, so have to dig into that one a bit deeper. On the other one, that Utah-Florida game, I think Utah does have the upper hand there, and I don't think it's going to be as close as that 2-point spread might suggest. And what was the other one I was looking at? Yeah, Georgia, Oregon. That's another kind of similar one to that other one we looked at. Sorry, wow, I'm all over the place. To that Ohio State game, I think they win that one easily. But again, 17 points, 17.5 points, still a big spread. So gonna dig deep into those ones. But the one that really pops out at me is actually that Utah one. I think that spread's a little too small on that one.
All right. Well, a lot to be talked about. I don't know. We could do a college football show. I know we plan on doing an NFL show, but we could do a college football show on Wednesdays, I think. Maybe just have whoever wants to show up kind of do a weekend style show. We'll just pick a time and go for it. I think it'd be fun. Who cares if people, I think people will, I don't know if people will watch or if they won't watch, but it really doesn't matter all that much. I think that I think it'll be fun. I could sit there and talk college football for an hour with you guys, so I got no problem with it. So then maybe we'll do that. We'll throw out some times and we'll announce when it's going to be and just do it. So maybe I'll have to sit there and talk to myself, but won't be the first time that's ever happened. So we go to today's card, and I guess we'll just leave everybody here. We'll go back, I guess, to the other format. Chris and I have been going over every game on the board, but let's kind of just go through the games, and we'll do the way that we've been doing it on these shows, and just do 3 at a time or so. We've got the Marlins and the Dodgers. Edward Cabrera has been pitching pretty well. He's plus 235 here against Urias at home. Got Patrick Corbin was favored in this game at one point I checked, and now Nick Lodolo and the Reds, he's no gem either. And then the Red Sox and the Rays were favored, but they've been dominated in this series. Chris, any of these three wet your whistle?
Yeah, I think the two I like in this time slot, I like the over 8 between the Reds and Nationals. I think this line's headed in the wrong direction. They're started at 8.5, and Patrick Corbin an ERA over 10 in his last 7 starts, and Nick Lodolo in his last 3 starts on the road, a 9.0 ERA. I know these are 2 lower scoring offenses, but I don't know how we don't get into 9-10 runs at the very least here. So give me the Reds and Nationals over, and I like the Tampa Bay Rays here. I know they have been dominated in the first couple games of this series, and maybe the Red Sox trying to prime themselves to go on a late run in September. But I just think Corey Kluber, I like him better than Nick Pivetta. Pivetta struggled in his lone start against the Rays earlier this season. I think the Rays salvaged something with a win in today's finale.
Jovan, any thoughts on these three or any of these three?
Yeah, looking at the Dodgers Marlins game, 2 pitchers that's been pitching well. Edward Cabrera, he's shown something in the few starts that he's had. It's a lot of plus money, type of plus money that I would like to take, but the Marlins just can't hit lefties worth a damn. So can't pull the trigger on that. I would just take the under whether it's first 5 or full game. So that's the way I would play it.
Ron Romanelli, one thing I wanted to ask you, and then we got into the college football talk, but I did want to ask you something. Maybe I should just do a run. I'm thinking of the other thing I'm thinking of doing aside from a college football, just kind of roundtable, kind of a barnstorming, show up if you wish, come as you are type show. The other idea that I have is to do a weekly or a couple times a week, or just put together like a capper interview, just 5-minute interviews of every capper on the site, and to have that on their capper page, and then give them the opportunity to do a free pick video every day on their capper page, not necessarily on our YouTube, but on their capper page. And I just think that the capper interview would be on YouTube, but then a capper pick, a free pick, if as they wanted to do them, could put one 1-minute pick on their capper page. But one of the things that I would ask Ron Romanelli in the interview is, how does it feel to be judged as an entirety, as your entire body of work, based upon either a game, a handful of games, or one day? When it's something that you do every single day, and over the course of a Major League Baseball season, that means 2,600 games that you've given out picks on. If you've given out picks on every single game, not including the postseason, and then you have someone comes in the YouTube comments and just says, "This guy went 5-10 yesterday. Why would you listen to him?" How does it feel? Yeah. It's like, and people, because people, I wear my heart on my sleeve. Right? It's like, oh, you're not professional because you care. It's like, that's basically what people say to me. I don't care that they feel that way. The people that say that about me, I don't care, because I do care about these things, and it's like, you can't set the record straight with a YouTube troll, right? There's no setting the record straight, right? It's not like, well, I went 12-3 3 times in the last week, and I haven't seen one comment from you ever before, right? I mean, it's like, this is what you say, or the easier comeback, your mama, right? I mean, those are the those are the best ones. But how is it? Because it's your first time really through this, over the course of the season. It's like, you hold it together a lot better than I do. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think. There's always going to be, no matter what you do, whether you're giving out picks or you're doing makeup tutorials, you're going to always get haters on, and trolls on your video comments. And the good thing is, we have a pretty good audience on those rundown videos. And I'd say, 95% of them are positive people looking to better their handicapping, and they enjoy watching the videos, and they enjoy what I do. And I appreciate all those people. And you're going to have those people that comment some trolling comments. Maybe they're new. They haven't really been there for the hot streaks. Maybe they caught you on a cold streak. And, I've learned to, I read the comments, but I've learned not to respond to the negative ones. There's questions that people ask that I'll respond to, but I know that those people don't really know what we're doing. They don't really understand what we're doing, and that is what it is. If they're not, if they want to leave comments like that, they're not really a part of our community, and we have a pretty tight community now. So, it's always going to happen. Nobody loves seeing hate comments, that's for sure. But you got to get through them. It's a part of being online, and that's what I expected.
I think the one thing that you get used to, and Jovan does a lot of videos, and Chris, does a ton of video too. And it's like, you have people that are applauding you for your picks, and other people that are killing you for the very same picks. It's like what I don't know. I always say in my 7 free picks, I always say in the video, it's like, no one ever won money in YouTube comments, I'll tell you that much. It's like you guys might talk about your picks or whatever, after the fact. I mean, I don't know if we could believe you or not believe you, but one thing's for certain, no one's ever won money in YouTube comments. It's all about beating the books, putting it together as a community, and that's kind of what we're about.
That's what we do. Yeah.
But anyways, Ron, about these 3 games, and I think it's I don't get enough chance to talk to everybody out here like this, so But anyways, it's Dodgers, Marlins, Nationals, Reds, and Red Sox, Rays.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna go the Los Angeles Dodgers here. I like them on the run line, even though the total's low, so there may not be too many runs at stake. I don't think the Marlins do much of anything offensively here. Jovan was mentioning that the Marlins don't hit lefties, and I think that's even an understatement. I don't think they have a chance against lefties most times. I mean, even against guys like Zach Logue on the Oakland A's, they struggled against in the last series, dead last in team OPS, 535 team OPS against lefties in the last month, 23rd in isolated power. The strikeout rate is highest in baseball in the last month, 31.1%. So really, if it's any lefty, they've had success against the Marlins, and you're getting one of the better lefties in baseball, and Julio Urias, who's got a 2.36 ERA, having a really good campaign. He's got even better numbers on the road this year. So I don't think the Marlins score more than 2 runs in this game, and I think the Dodgers can pitch in 4 or 5 runs by the end of the game, getting a few runs on the Marlins bullpen. So I'll lay the run line with Los Angeles.
Al Ninos, someone answered my question yesterday about the 5%. They said it's 5% of your bankroll at the time you make the bet. So that would mean that if you made 3 bets at the same time, one after another, they would have to be in, that each bet would be sequentially less. Because it's 5% of what, right? Because your bankroll is 5% invested, right? So yeah, put it this way, sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of work. Because if it's 5% of your current bankroll, then each bet would have to be sequentially less.
I think if you're placing them at the same time, though, you're making the same bet.
No, they're not at the same time, because one bet is you can't make the bets at the same time. They have to be done at separate times.
You can.
Oh, I guess you can on the app. But I'm talking about out the window, like a normal person.
Yeah, I guess at the window you can't. That's interesting. But I would think if you're setting okay, today I'm gonna make these 3 bets.
I'll tell you who's gonna be pissed is the people behind you in line if it's like the game's getting ready to go off and you got your calculator out figuring out your 5% of the bankroll.
Yes, they wouldn't be too happy about that. No, that's for sure.
I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever. Because this way you don't want to risk too much. It's like, I think anytime you start talking about not risking too much, I think then you start getting into the mindset of playing to not lose. And it's like, if you're not aggressive and playing to win, you cannot win in betting of any kind. Anyways, that's just my philosophy. Al, what do you think of these games? You got your Dodgers playing at basically 9 o'clock in the morning, LA time.
Yeah, they sure are in that early game. But I'll be looking at. I'm gonna agree with Chris on one of his picks and disagree on the other one. I like that over in the Reds Nationals game. As every time you got Patrick Corbin starting, that's a good shot at the over there. And then I'm gonna have to go with the Red Sox here. Kluber may be the better starter. I think if you're looking at the Rays, maybe focus on the first 5. But I think full game, the Red Sox have the better lineup, and I think they get the job done at home.
Rays are dead to me. Al McMarty, welcome to the show. Speaking of LA time, 7:30 Los Angeles time for Al. How you doing today? Frozen. We lost him.
Very good.
We'll have to come back to Al. But anyways, we go to our next set of games. Got
He
the.
couldn't spare listen to Al Ninos's picks, so he got out of there.
Yeah, I've had enough. Did he just say -1? -1 with 2.8% of my bankroll. after betting 5%. It's like, what is 2.8% after betting 5%? It's like, so if you bet the morning games, right, in college football, and then you say you want to bet now the 3:30 Eastern time start games or 3 o'clock start game. So you've made these bets and none of them have cashed, right? Because these games, the bets are still outstanding. Your bankroll is definitely lower at that point. It has to be because the money's in play. So you would have to recalculate what 5% is. The easiest way is take 10% and take half of that, right? But I mean, what if you use multiple sources like for your bankroll like I do? You have to go through all your different things and then add those together. I have no idea.
That's on a personal thing.
I have no idea. I've opened up sports betting apps like of ones that I have in Vegas when I get out to Vegas, and it's had like $900 in it. It's like surprise. It's like finding $20 in your wallet, in your pocket.
I've had that.
Except it's like 900. It's like some parlay that you left out there, before you left.
I've had that with a couple of fantasy accounts. I used to play a lot of fantasy, and then I completely just stopped and go and open one. It's like, oh, nice.
Anyways, we got the Phillies Pirates. Got the Blue Jays Angels. Tucker Davidson has a paying gig. And we have the Mets against the Rockies. I'll tell you what, the Mets are winning these games against the Rockies, but it's not like it doesn't feel convincing. Maybe it's like I'm looking for something more. 82-46, and it's not good enough for me, right? Chris Ruffalo, he was the secret buyer of the $12 million Mickey Mantle card. It was Chris Ruffalo. Chris, what do you got?
I told you that in confidence.
It's like it's anonymous. Believe me, if I paid $12 million for a baseball card, I wouldn't tell anybody either, man. That's for damn sure. It's like, what? It's like, what's the upside on something like that? I think at a certain point it tops out.
Yeah, they got mad because I left cookie crumbs when I was signing the check. But I like the Pirates and Phillies under 8.5 here. I think this is just a better pitching matchup than maybe a lot of people give credit for. I think Roansy Contreras is going to be the future of this Pirates rotation. And Noah Syndergaard, I gave him some flack when he was first traded to the Phillies after really not being able to pitch well outside of Angel Stadium back before the trade. But he's starting to turn it on a little bit, and I think this is just going to be a lower scoring game. The line's already started to head in that direction from 9 to 8.5. So I'll take the under Pirates, Phillies, and I like the over 7 Rockies and Mets. I think the Mets can get a few runs off of German Marquez here, but Max Scherzer's allowed 4 runs in back-to-back starts. Very un-Scherzer-like, but still think even if he gives up a couple here, I think it's more than enough to get us over 7 in that one.
Jovan, 1976, I traded a Carlton Fisk with a gum mark on it for a Willie Mays. Back when I remember the gum. He used to have the gum mark across the cards. It's like puts a perfect game, except for the gum that's stuck. It's the original gum. It's like that gum was so bad too, man. It was not even good. It was like the gum had like the consistency of this, of this. This is exactly what the gum was. It's like you take a bite of it and it'd like crack into like 20 pieces. So bad, man.
So I'm I really don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Even though both of these teams are on streaks, Philly's on a winning streak and Pittsburgh on a losing streak. I don't know. I just like Rosie Contreras. Listen, at the end of the day, I just like the plus money in this one, and I'm taking a shot. So I'm gonna take Pittsburgh on the money line with this one with that plus money. If anyone's gonna on the Pittsburgh pitching staff has a chance of beating Philadelphia, it's gonna be Contreras. So give me the Pittsburgh Pirates in this one on a Sunday sleeper.
Ron Romanelli, the year they did the giant basketball cards, the ones that were like this big, I had the Dr. J with the gum stuck to the back. Yeah, but I had like six of them.
Okay. I could get behind Jovan's play there in the Pirates. I think it is worth a shot. Roansy Contreras looks like he's developing pretty nicely. He's had his moments where he has struggled with the long ball, some of his control issues, but we know he can miss some bats. He's got really good stuff overall. And I do think that if there was a game in this series that the Pirates would compete in, this would be the one. So I do like the under as well, what Chris was saying. I think pretty good pitching matchup overall. Noah Syndergaard's looked pretty good as a Philly. Now, he's faced mostly weak lineups, the Nationals, the Marlins, the Reds twice, but the Pirates could be thrown into that conversation, definitely. So I think we're going to see a lower scoring game. I think it could be a one-run game, so I'd take the plus 1.5 with Pittsburgh, still getting a pretty good price there, and I'd lean towards the under in that one.
I agree with Ruffalo. I think Alek Manoah owes it to his teammates to come in better shape next season because he's run out of gas. Al Ninos, what do you think?
It's a pretty tough one for me here, but might take a shot with the Angels plus the 1.5 here. Yeah, I mean they may have the edge on the mound, but I don't think Stripling is worth minus 240. So I'll take the Angels.
Yeah, but it's Tucker. You got Tucker.
Yeah, I know.
That.
I'll take my chances.
It's kind of like betting Corbin. You might as well parlay it up with Corbin. It's kind of like you can parlay up the Blue Jays and the Rays, who have been like total disappointment teams, or you could go for Corbin with Tucker Davidson. I think Hutchinson's pitching today too. You can throw him in the mix. It's a beautiful comment. There's a guy pitching tomorrow. Chase Anderson is pitching tomorrow. Who even knew he was still in the league? It's like, what? Wait a minute. You can't do that. It's like, you cannot do that, It's like, and we'll start Chase Anderson. Like, what? You can't do that.
It's like Patrick Corbin takes his mask off and it's Chase Anderson underneath.
It's like, where do you get off? I don't know, man. I think Roansy Contreras is going to be good after they trade him to the Yankees or something. That's generally what they do with their good pitchers. They trade them. Cole, Contreras. Cole and Italian even got good when he went to the Yankees. And it goes on and on and on. The Blue Jays I don't think they're ever going to win another game. They just really terrible. Alek Manoah is just so disappointing. I think this is a guy that has such a high ceiling, and he's just so out of shape, man. It's just shown up.
He was not bad yesterday. He was good yesterday.
If you're the number one pitcher, you need to hold the team to 1 or 0 runs.
1 run, 7 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts.
They lost 2-0.
Yeah, but he didn't give up the other.
Yeah, it was the team. It was the team that was disappointing. They couldn't get anything off Ohtani. It wasn't
that's part of facing the number one. Is that you're not going to get anything off of him, so you need
to go 14 innings to shut out.
Well, let's look at Manoah's. Let's look at this guy's record since the All-Star break, and then let's find out what his actual weight is.
No, he struggled a few starts, but last start was not one of those.
You don't think that this guy's conditioning has anything to do with his subpar performance as the season's gone on?
Not at all. I mean, yesterday
when I run, right, and I'm right now I'm probably 15, 20 over. You think I'm running as fast as I do when I'm, at my fighting weight,
There's been plenty of bigger pitchers. I mean, CC, Roger Clemens. I mean, those are two.
Roger Clemens was not out of shape like this guy. When Roger Clemens was at his best, he was a scrawny kid out of Texas. He wasn't scrawny. He was never heavy like this guy.
All I'm saying was Manoah had a good start yesterday.
All I'm saying, he could have had a better start if he would get in shape. Maybe go to the gym.
It's still people sort of got to remember that it is his first full year as a starter. So we haven't really seen that he, how he does after.
So you're blaming it on the freshman 15? Is that what you're saying? I mean, is that what's going on here?
I'm just saying we didn't have anything to go off of. So right now it is looking like, yes, he is running out of gas because it's his first full years as a consistent piece of the rotation. That'll come with time. I get it. Yes, he should shed a few pounds, but he still had a good start yesterday, and it's encouraging signs that maybe he can have a couple more good starts before the end of the season, keep the Blue Jays in the race.
Back-to-back very strong starts.
Yeah.
One of them against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium.
What are you selling, Chris, besides Manoah?
My Manoah autograph.
Yeah. Don't tell people about that. For me today, I got my $15 pickoff play. We came through yesterday with the Cardinals and looking to make it back-to-back 8 days to finish the week here. And I also got a few more plays. I'm going to put out a 3-pack for the MLB today, but right now it's just a $15 pickoff play. Use that promo code OG15.
Jovan, what are you selling?
Yeah, took one on the chin yesterday, so I'm back on the bounce back. I got 5 MLB plays. I actually liked Major League Baseball on this Sunday. And all those plays are sold separately, individually, so jump on that. Also have one preseason play that I really like, so jump on it.
Ron Romanelli, what do you got for sale?
Got my I Love Manoah 3-pack. Now I got my MLB rundown, best bet, $15 MLB play, and then I've got 2 plays for long-term subscribers, one in the NFL preseason, another one in the MLB.
You think Manoah and Kirk, they hit the buffet, after the game? It's like they turn the lights out, they see these 2 guys coming.
Yeah, I was there with them. It happens.
Turn out the lights and hide.
They'll never see us.
Here comes Monster with many mouths. Al Niños.
Yeah, I got a couple different 3-packs, one all MLB and one that's 2 MLB and a preseason play. So if you're still into preseason football, check that out. And of course, best way to go is still the long-term passes. Got a couple extra plays there for everyone.
All right, got the Royals and the Padres. Jonathan Heasley on the mound. I thought he was injured last time. I thought he was injured in that game. And then you've got the Twins against the Giants and the Brewers taking on the Cubs. And I think something looked like it clicked for the Brewers last night in that game. All of a sudden, a light went on and the scoreboard lit up. Chris, what do you think of these 3?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the Milwaukee Brewers. I really like here. I like Eric Lauer, and I'm just not an Adrian Sampson fan.
Since when?
I think since his time with the Texas Rangers, just haven't been able to get on board with Adrian Sampson because I don't know. He has pitched well for the Cubs in spots, but I think the Brewers just really want this one, and I think they're going to turn it on with Eric Lauer on the mound. Eric Lauer had a great start against the Dodgers last time out, and I think he carries that over here. I think the Brewers take it to the Cubs here, so I'll take the Brewers. I'll probably take them on the run line, and I like the over 9.5 between the Padres and Royals, the 2 weak links in their respective rotations. I think Sean Manaea gets hit for a few runs here, and I think Jonathan Heasley just gets teed off on by the Padres. So give me the over, as I think that game gets to 11 or 12 runs at the very least.
I think the Royals plus 1.5 is straight money. Jovan, what do you think of these 3?
Doing the Giants and Twins in this one?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the Minnesota Twins going up against faded Jakob Yunis in his 5.63 ERA in his last 3 starts. The Twins are going for the sweep in this one. I think they get it. I don't think neither one of these teams are hitting righties well, as what I remember. But yeah, they're both hitting real bad, sub 200. Yeah, so, but I just think at the end of the day, I think the Twins are just they're doing whatever they want with the with the Giants. And the Giants, they just can't do anything on the road. All they're doing is losing, so they'll continue just losing on the road. So I'll take the Twins.
Speaking of Twins, Ron Romanelli.
Yeah, I got my Twins jersey on, but I won't even be touching that game. Well, actually, I do lean towards the Twins. Like Jovan was saying, both teams struggling against righties, but the Giants really struggling against righties, and it's been the case for about a month and a half. So, even though it's Aaron Sanchez not my favorite starter, I still lean towards Minnesota there. But in that Padres game, I like the Padres on the run line. Jonathan Heasley 1-7 with that 5.21 ERA, even worse numbers at home this year. His last start wasn't bad, but he still only had 2 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings, walked 4 batters, gives up a lot of home runs, doesn't strike out many batters. And Padres offense, it's been here and there this series. We saw the first game, they kind of exploded for those 13 runs. Second game of the series, a little bit more quiet, but with Soto back in the lineup, I think it helps their chances. And the Royals' numbers against lefties aren't too bad overall this year, but they're striking out quite a bit right now. 4th highest strikeout rate against lefties, 27.8% in the last month. So Sean Manaea, he has issues with the long ball, but he also misses a lot of bats in terms of strikeouts. So I think he'll have a decent outing. I like the over in this game, like Chris was mentioning, and I like the Padres on the run line.
How about you, Al Ninos?
Not a matchup I love, but I think I'm gonna give the edge to the Giants today to avoid that sweep. I think they got a better starter and the healthier lineup, so I'll take my chances with the Giants on my line.
I don't like the slot. I like the over, though, in that Royals Padres, and I also like the Royals on the run line. Padres horrible on the run line following a win, according to the betting tools, which have been straight fire. Anyways, we go to our next slot, and in this one, we've got the Astros and the Orioles. It's been all Orioles this series, quietly. And it's White Sox against the Diamondbacks and Kohei Arihara against Drew Hutchison in this Rangers-Tigers game. They're charging full price admission for that, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't believe that either. But I will say I do like the under 7.5 White Sox Diamondbacks. We had a massive offensive game yesterday. I think we get back to basics with a lower scoring game here. Zach Davies, normally a 5-inning guy, but he usually pitches fairly well in those 5 innings. I think he can keep the White Sox under wraps here, but I also expect Dylan Cease to bounce back from an Dylan Cease-like stretch in his last couple of games to get us a low-scoring game here. I could see it being the first to 3 wins, so it can be the under in that one. And I'm still going to go with the Texas Rangers here. I was on the Tigers yesterday. That was just mainly because we saw Dallas Keuchel going for the Texas Rangers, and Keuchel doing what he does best, making bad teams look better than they are. And I think Kohei Arihara, he's had 2 starts so far this season. He's looked fairly good in both of those. And I'm also fading Drew Hutchison. I know what this guy's capable of from his time with the Blue Jays. So I think the Texas Rangers win this one to close out the series.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we'd go on a trip to New York, with our family. We'd go all the time because we had family there. And, I'd get to go to a baseball game, but we'd have the tickets in advance, and I would plan, what day do you want to go to the game? And I would plan in advance. I'd go through the rotation. Who would be the starting pitcher, for that? And I always wanted to see Seaver, right? For the Mets games. I always wanted to see Tom Seaver, so I always planned it out that it would go, if you went through the rotation, whenever it'd be Tom Seaver would pitch. So I saw Tom Seaver a ton of times, when I was a kid. But it's I could only imagine going through my rotation and coming down to the thing, it's well, it's not Seaver, it's Arihara versus, it's Drew Hutchison is just that would be a disaster. Yeah. I think my father used to do the same thing. He's the one that told me to do that. And he used to do it with Koufax. He used to plan it out. His parents would take him to one game, and he planned it out. He always wanted to, hope it would be. Anyways. Well, maybe it wasn't his parents. Maybe it was earlier than that. Or later than that. Anyways. I don't know. I just remember him saying it was Koufax. Anyways, I hate the White Sox. And who's up? Jovan, did you go? Everyone went?
Nah, not yet. Yeah, so I usually don't do this because as a rule I don't go against Justin Verlander, but I think at the end of the day, I really don't think that these two pitchers are going to factor into the decision. I think these two pitchers are going to do what they've been doing, which is, pitching phenomenally, basically, especially Verlander. But Austin Voth, he's shown that he's a big league pitcher. But I think in the later innings, I think this is where, the rubber meets the road. And, given the fact that the Orioles have won 5 out of their last 6 games, I think that they pull this one out in the late innings. And I'm gonna take this plus money and run with it, and go with the Orioles for the sweep.
Romanelli.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rangers on the run line. I don't love Drew Hutchinson, and I think my I'm losing my voice here.
That's what Arihara versus Hutchinson will do to you.
I know.
Knock the wind right out of your sails.
But the Rangers bats are definitely better against lefties than righties, but they actually in the last month are top 10 in team OPS against righties. So I think they'll be able to get to Hutchinson for a few runs here. I think his ERA is going to go up as the season continues to about over 5. So Arihara, not my favorite option. He's had 2 good starts, but I do think he'll regress as the season goes on. But to Detroit Tigers, it's not a great lineup against righties. They got the Keuchel, it's a lefty, but I don't think they'll get much on Arihara. So I'll take the Rangers run line.
How about you, El Ninos?
Well, we haven't had many of those today, so got a couple -1s for you, Mitch. I think the White Sox -1 and the Rangers -1. You could do that or take them on the for the White Sox, maybe take them run line in the first 5. But again, I like the whole game -1 better.
Diamondbacks -2.5 all day. All day. Twice on Sunday, man. White Sox, terrible, man. Terrible.
They have been.
Terrible. I mean, did you see last night's game? I mean, did you happen to catch it? Did you happen to catch that beauty?
I have to admit that I missed that one, but yes, they've been struggling.
Let me tell you. Go take a look at the box score. You'll get the drift. They were never in it. There's no reason they even showed up at the stadium. There was no if you're going to play like that, why bother showing up? Why bother even showing up?
They gave up 3 runs in the 9th to make sure the Diamondbacks got those out their system so they don't score today.
I don't know. It was terrible. It was a tough watch, as they say. Let's take a look at that box score real quick on that gem. It was just gruesome. They were never in it. So it was 10-5, but was the final, but it was not even that close. So the White Sox got out to a 3-0 lead in the game, and then the Diamondbacks came back with 5 in the top of the second. And they never looked back. Then it was 6. Yeah, it was just, there's nothing fun about it. Hate the White Sox. As long as Tony La Russa's the manager, done. This is the same way I felt about my Dolphins when they gave Ryan Tannehill the contract extension. It's like I'm checking out of this relationship. Go to our next set of games. Disgustingly. Our last set of games for today's Major League Baseball action. Clark Schmidt on the ball on the mound here for the Yankees. Clark Schmidt versus Adrian Martinez for the A's on that 1-game winning streak. Then you got the Mariners against the Guardians. Great comeback last night by the Guardians. They had Castillo on the ropes all night long and could not cash. And then finally they just, once the floodgates opened, it opened. And then the nightcap from St. Louis, Kenley Jansen. What a jerk. Adam Wainwright against Jake Odorizzi. Chris, I refrained. I held my tongue there. Kenley Jansen. What a jerk.
Oh, Kenny Jensen just made my Christmas card list for after yesterday. That was yeah. See, I have no words after that ninth inning, but I will lean towards the Guardians here, and I'll also take the under in that matchup against the Mariners. I think it's just going to be another low scoring game, and I think the Guardians have a lot of momentum after coming back from that deficit last night to get the win.
They
And I
had
like
Castillo on the
Cards.
ropes in every inning. They had him
Yeah.
every inning it was second and third with 2 outs. Every inning, it seemed like it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it just for me sometimes when you have those teams that kind of like they get close but they never break through, it's just like it never happens. So that it did last night. I think they carry that over to today. So I like the Guardians and the under there, and also with St. Louis Cardinals. I think they have the momentum after that victory on Saturday night, and for me, I'm just not getting enough plus money even with the Braves to take Jake Odorizzi here. So give me the Cardinals in this one.
Jovan?
Yeah, it seems like every time I see Jake Odorizzi against a good lineup, or above average lineup, he's giving up runs. So I expect him to give up runs in this one. I also expect the Braves to get a couple off for Wainwright, and with these bullpens to finish it off, I think it just goes over the total. So I'm expecting at least a 5-4 game in this one, if not even higher.
Ron Romanelli, part of the Kenley Jansen fan club.
Oh yeah, Kenley Jansen, one of my favorite players of all time. I had a feeling he was going to blow that game. It's just when you expect it coming, it doesn't hurt as much, I guess. But anyway, this Guardians Mariners game. I like the Guardians through the first 5 innings. I do think they'll be able to get to Ray. I think Savali has a good start here. My worry with the Guardians is, to me, their bullpen is very strong towards the end of it with guys like Karinchak and Clase. But both of those guys are pitching back-to-back days in this series. They pitched in the first game, or not the second game of the series, and last night. So they're most likely not going to be available, and that's where I worry if this is a close game with Cleveland. So instead of worrying about the bullpens, I just think I'll take the half a run on the first 5 innings against Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray has given up at least 1 home run in 4 of his last 5. He's still walking some guys, so we know that to beat Ray, you got to hit the long ball. You got to be patient at the plate. And although the Guardians aren't the most powerful lineup in the league, they're a very patient lineup. They don't strike out much, and they're hitting lefties pretty well right now. So I think they can get to Ray for a few runs. I think Savali has a good start. So I'll take the Guardians plus a half a run through the first 5 innings.
Al Ninos.
Yeah, these 2 matchups are the ones I thought we were doing the old format, and I had these 2 plays ready to go for it. I think the Guardians.
Well, that means you're ready for this slot, man. This is the Al Ninos show.
Let's go.
As Ron Romanelli has proposed many times.
Yeah, so I still like not as much value on them, but I still like the Guardians with some plus money today. And in that last game, I do think the Cardinals get the job done here. They got the better starter and the healthier lineup. So yeah, normally I'd go with the Braves, but I think they got a couple things going for them as well as home field. So I think the Cardinals get the job done here.
I love the Guardians today against the Mariners. I've taken them every game this series, but I don't care. I just think that the Mariners are they're there, but I don't think they have a chance to win a postseason game. While the Guardians, I think, actually in the postseason, I think they're going to win the division. I actually think that they do have a chance to win some games and to make a competitive series against any team that they play. I just think they're well managed, and I think when you're well managed and you're in these tight few game series like this, it's like that's when the manager makes a big difference. It's kind of like a college basketball coach in the last 3 minutes of the game. It's like he might not do anything the whole time, but those last 3 minutes, it's kind of like the manager in baseball, because those games, it's like every bit of the game is under the microscope, right? It's like everything's magnified when it happens. So I don't know. Anyways, got NFL football. Normally we do this first, but today we saved the best for last. It is the final 2 games of the preseason today. We've got the New York Jets versus the New York Giants. The Jets are the home team in this one. And then we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Detroit Lions. Can't spell sexy without Detroit Lions. Chris, what do you think?
Well, for me too, I like the Giants on the money line. I think that's where the value is in that game. The Jets, yes, they're 2-0 as well, and they had to they had a couple of come from behind wins in each of those games. But I think the Giants, they're gonna. I think Brian Daboll said he's already going to play his starters for a fair bit of the first half, and even when the starters leave, I think Tyrod Taylor's done an impressive job so far in the preseason. I think the Giants can really take it to the backups of the New York Jets here. So I like the value of the Giants on the money line in this one, and I also like the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think the quarterback job fully up for grabs in Pittsburgh, and I think we see the best efforts from all three quarterbacks, and I think the backups also just take it to Detroit's backups here. I think Pittsburgh just a far deeper team, so I'll lay the touchdown with the Steelers in that one.
Your homework assignment is to say blows blows 16 times fast. Jovan, how about you? What do you think of these two?
Yeah, considering the fact that the Steelers, they still have a QB competition going, and they're going to be playing their starters at least to the front, probably most of, if not all, of the first half. And Detroit, I just think this one's going to go over. I was leaning under earlier, but I'm switching course on this one, taking over. I think the Lions get a couple cheap ones at the end of the game, to push this one over. One of those fourth quarter cheap touchdowns. So I'll take the over in that game.
Ron.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take a Ruffalo in this football card. I have a premium in that Giants-Jets game, and I really just don't have an opinion on that Lions-Steelers game. I think that line is kind of right where I would put it. So, Jovan and Chris make good points. Man, that thing's a long sound.
That's how we do
There we
things
go.
here. That's how we do it.
But I'd be lying to you if I said I had a real strong opinion about that Steelers game. So I'll take a Ruffalo.
El Niños.
Yeah, might take a little shot with the Giants here. With the points and the money line a little bit as well, but mostly like the points.
I hate the Giants and I hate the Jets, so it makes it a tough one for me. But I do love the Steelers against the Lions, mainly because those Lions backup QBs just absolutely terrible. And of course, those of you that watched yesterday, my wife's Colts again. That freaking coach. It's like they didn't get off the bus. It was like they didn't even dress for the game. They showed up in shorts. It's like what's with the Hawaiian shirts, guys? It's like, man, seriously. It's like you want to talk about going through the motions. Anyways, Ruffalo, you got a parlay for these nice people.
Yeah, I really like my parlay today. It's all totals, but I really love it. I'm going to go with the under 7.5 Mariners Guardians. I'm going to go with the over 9.5 Padres Royals. Under 8.5 Pirates Phillies, and over 8 Reds Nationals. Four game parlay.
Jovan?
Yeah, Pirates, money line. Orioles, money line. Twins, money line. That hits, get your wife something.
Get me a boat. Ron Romanelli.
I know Chris said he likes his parlay, but I like mine better. So how about that? Dodgers run line, Padres run line, and Guardians first 5 run line or spread.
I like the Diamondbacks reverse run line -1.5. I would also maybe throw a little something straight up on the -2.5 in that one. I like the over in the Rangers-Tigers game and the Orioles against the Astros. Austin Vogt. I think you could also put in a Royals run line plus the 1.5 kicker on that thing, just for good measure. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it a winning day. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be a short show because not a lot of games, but I'll talk to the guys, see if we can do a college football show at some time on Wednesday, whatever's most convenient, kind of like a barnstorming event. No commitments, just let's go over the games real quickly, and then I believe we'll do an NFL show on Thursday. So thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it a winning day.